G'day, Bomber fans. That is it for season 2024. We have now played every game for the year. Spoiler alert, we're not in the 8. No finals for us. Our season ends with a loss at the Gabba. Not the belting that we thought it would be, but really it was a big sign of how far off the best we still are. We were competitive, but nowhere near the Lions consistently enough. 20-point loss. Get your votes in down below, plus the role player. Let's get into the round 24 review, the last for season 2024. Alrighty, starting with a quick recap. First quarter, it was a real trial and error term of footy. Both teams kind of feeling each other out a bit, getting a gauge of the match and how it would play out. The Lions looked the better of the two. They were wasting chances, which was a major theme throughout, keeping us in it, but gee, there was an ominous feel to it early for me. The second got off to a shocking start. The Lions kicked the first 3, got out to a pretty big lead, and really that was the game. Coming back from that lead against that team was always going to be hard. From 32 points down, when you only had managed 1 goal, that was never going to happen. They were moving the ball so well. We were trying to restrict their movement, but struggling, and our solo efforts from guys like Kyle Lohman were really hurting us, seeing as we were able to keep some of their stars down early. They went into the half with a 5-goal lead. The third term was really poor as well. Their poor conversion made it look a lot better than it was. 4 goals to 2, but 12 scoring shots to 4. They should have well and truly put the game to bed there. They really smashed us. They led at three-quarter time by 46 points. So I guess the game was put to bed if you think about it. To our credit, we did come back late, had them not sweating, but there was definitely potential for some stress if we managed another goal late. We kept them goalless and put 5 on ourselves, reducing the margin to just 20 points in the end, but really that is covering over the issues. We were pretty soundly beaten. That margin flatters us. We were nowhere near the Lions for a lot of that game, so let's talk about it. Where did we lose this game of footy? Well, let's just put into perspective how badly we should have lost this game, and I get that it was 20 points in the end, and some will give credit to our fight back, which to be fair was decent, but let's just rattle off some numbers that prove how poor we were. Minus 15 for inside 50s, which for Essendon is not good. We usually destroy teams in this area, but struggle to put it on the scoreboard. Negative 33 for contested possessions, proving how much tougher around the pill the Lions were. This next one, though, this is the big one, and it's proof that despite having good midfielders, we still have so much work to do, but we were negative 20 for clearances. Those are numbers you rarely see. 45 to 25, that is ridiculous. We were completely belted. It makes you wonder about our setup right now, because we have all these big names, a fit injury list. Merritt, Parrish, Caldwell, Shield. Is that a dynamic enough engine room? Is there enough speed and power through there? Because we were so strong in the guts early in the year when Sam Durham was covering the holes that were left from injuries. He didn't feature in a single centre bounce against the Lions. It makes me wonder if we sacrificed our best blend of players for names. Shield returns, Parrish returns, our midfield's firing before they come in, but then we mess it up to throw in those names just because we can, because they're on our list. Saturday night was horrible. If you think our midfield is strong enough as it is for next season, just look at Saturday night. It was a woeful midfield performance from a really woeful midfield late in the year. And they did make us look better, the Lions. Really, this was further proof that the Lions are not a proper contender right now. That is, unless they fix up their goal kicking. It's been a huge issue lately for them. They've dropped games because of it. 11 goals, 21 on Saturday night. 21 behinds in a game of footy is wild. It's what made the scoreboard look better. I think we probably should have lost by 50 or 60 points if we're being realistic, and expected scores data agrees. The expected score from chances shows that both teams the difference was 104 to 55, obviously in favour of the Lions, so we were actually more efficient than usual, which is odd, but I think that expected score is a good little gauge to follow, because we were actually leading it in a lot of our bad losses, and that showed that our game was mostly failing due to efficiency at times. But on Saturday night, our own efficiency made us look a lot better than we actually were. I don't think we should be happy with this loss or take momentum or anything away from it, really. The one thing we should be taking away from it is how poor our midfield setup is right now and how easy it is to find space against us. The amount of times we allowed them room in the middle of the ground for no reason. It seemed like a coaching strategy, but I don't really know what the motive was. Let the Lions move the ball easier, I don't know. Speaking of puzzling strategies, and I get that we're trying to do things late and change things to our game, which I understand, and I like the fact that we're trying to change up our system and our style of play a bit, even though it might be a little bit too late. But our overuse of the corridor kick was a bit of a weird one against such a good defensive team. We were switching up the footy like crazy, almost too much at times, but giving guys like Ben Mackay the license to pick off those tricky kicks, which was just not the play. There were some bad turnovers, and then you had all our defenders, as usual, getting so much of the pill without really doing much, just sideways kicking, switching it around, and then turning it over in the middle of the ground. Heppell and McGrath and others, they all had heaps of the pill, but most of those kicks weren't really for anything. When you look at the disposal tallies, you have to sit back and think how much of an impact they actually are having with each touch. I look at Dane Zorko at Brisbane. That's a player who really gets those hard balls and progresses the ball forward with it. He had 600 metres gained from less than 30 touches. McGrath and Heppell had less than 500 metres gained from almost 35 touches. I think it also just shows from our turnover scoring differential. We scored 5 goals, 6 from turnover, 11 scoring shots. The Lions had 10 goals, 13. When your opposition is scoring 23 times from turnover, you know you're doing something wrong with your ball movement. 18 scores from the front half as well, showing how quickly our ball movement was breaking down. I think we have gotten a lot better at limiting the amount of, the impact of key forwards this year, and that's mainly thanks to Ben Nakia replacing Zerk Thatcher, and we've been good at keeping small forwards down, thanks to McGrath and Kelly at times, but we still let prominent midfielders and defenders really have their way with us. Lockie Neal was incredible, 40 disposals, 7 clearances, 11 score involvements. He had, we pretty much did what he wanted, really. No one was really stopping him. I spoke of Dane Zorko. We let rebounding defenders find way too much of the footy against us, especially when Guelphy isn't there. He was injured yet again. I really think rebound defenders would love to play us because they just know they will have a field day. The ease in which opposition teams exit our forward 50 is infuriating, and when our midfielders down, we are horrid at keeping star players down. The weekend's game was proof of these inefficiencies in our game. It's a good thing we aren't in finals contention because we get absolutely destroyed by better teams in these areas. And just speaking on that a bit further, I think it's a good question. Just how far off are we from the best teams in the league? We beat the Dogs, we beat the Giants. That's about it in terms of notable wins. Freo, I guess, but you're clutching at straws if you include a team that missed finals. I won't count Hawthorn because we beat them before they were any good. And that's almost the same with the Dogs as well. We've been easily beaten as well by some other top 8 teams like Geelong, the Power, the Swans, the D's. The D's aren't even a top 8 team. The Lions. You could go on. I think we're really not consistent enough against good teams. And if anything, it's a blessing that we're not in September because there is no way we would do anything other than make up numbers the way we play so far. Even when we're second on the ladder, there would have been question marks because we still got trounced by the Swans and Port before our form slump. How are we going to improve on our game to become a more reliable and more feared team? More of this uncontested footy won't work. We're just hiding weaknesses in our game by trying to control the footy. It doesn't work. I don't know what Scott will have up his sleeve for 2025, but whatever we do has to be better than this because we need to be convinced we can actually be a good footy team next year, or I'm going to start really doubting Scott as our coach. He goes out of contract, I think, next year. Saturday night was a really tough watch, and a lot of it was due to bad coaching. I think a lot of this poor coaching narrative has been driven a bit by passion because of what happened with Dyson Heppell last week and his farewell game. But I do think this match in particular opened up a massive can of worms about the Dyson Heppell send-off last week against the Swans. There were many who were content with the decision to leave him out of the side for that match because we were playing for finals and playing our best team. Heppell comes in for his Gabba farewell game and is one of our 4 or 5 or 6 best on ground. Heppell came in for Wiedemann, and even if you think that wasn't like for like, and that Wiedemann had to come in to replace Cox against the Swans, explain to me how Heppell is worse for this team than Jake Kelly or Jai Menzies right now. Different roles, but Heppell has shown he has flexibility to his game lately, playing on a wing or in defence or wherever he is. The Brisbane game proved to us that he is still a good player, ending on his own terms. That is fine, but not giving him that farewell game to the fans is genuinely rubbish in my eyes. There really isn't much reason for it. As Smoke and Joe said the other week when I was over with Absolutely Essendon, we've been calling for a club to be ruthless, but that was not the time to be ruthless. That was a massive blunder from Scott and his crew, and that Brisbane game proved that to us. We're lucky that Heppell is as good a bloke as he is, because any other club legends would have felt really hard done by after that and let everyone know about it, but Heppell was classy and worked hard till the very last minute. He was really good on Saturday night. Look, all in all, it wasn't a horrible performance, but it is by no means something that we should be proud of as fans or as a club. We got very lucky that the team we were playing were wasteful and not at their best. We lost by 20 points. It looks respectable, but it should have been much, much more. We were just never good enough. Credit to the boys for fighting till the end. That was at least good to see. I don't know how much the Lions were trying late. But it does show that there is hope for that hunger to find itself next year, especially in a dead rubber game like this. That was good, but it's not enough for me to hold on to for next year. I want to see serious change. This was by no means our worst game of the year, but it's a very low bar. We lost, not badly, but we didn't really gain many fans with a performance like that. let's just get on to the votes for the last time in 2024. One vote to Andy McGrath, who I thought was playing a really tough role on Charlie Cameron. Cameron kicked 3, but I reckon 2 of those would have been on other opponents. When McGrath was around him, you felt his impact was being squashed. And McGrath himself was good enough to get 34 touches, 9 intercepts and 4 spoils. 2 votes to Carl Langford, 3 goals, 25 touches. He was everywhere and he was kicking straight. But 3 votes to our captain, Zach Merritt. He was the only one really keeping the standards up throughout the whole game. He was the reason we fought till the end. 37 disposals, 5 tackles, but that last quarter, 12 touches, a goal, 3 tackles. He was everywhere. My role player is Dyson Heppell. I know that he isn't really a role player getting 34 touches, but I just had to give him some love after that game. He could have easily gone into a shell after the week and dropped his head knowing that his career was done without any success, without the club treating him like absolute crap, but of course he came out and gave a great performance off halfback. That is just typical Heppell, really. He was really, really good, and he proved the coaching staff very silly for leaving him out of that Sydney game. Good luck trying to argue that Heppell wasn't in our best 23 last week after this game, so well done, Heps, on a terrific career. You really did deserve a lot better. Alright, that is that. Season done, but the content is only going to ramp up from here. I'm a massive nerd for the draft and trade period, so I'll be posting more regularly than I do during the actual season. It's like Christmas for me. I've got to sit through the pain of every season and wait for the draft and trades to come along. Cheers for all the support during the year, guys. It's not an easy one to get through for us fans, but I appreciate you all sticking around. We actually added an extra 2,000 subscribers in the last year, so thank you. And I'm hoping to keep that number growing out to next year. I'm aiming to finish 2024 with 4,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already, click subscribe. And of course, as always, go Bombers.